In a new round of sanctions against Russia by the US Treasury, the names of 24 Russians have been added to the list of those who will receive no visas to travel to Western countries and whose assets will be frozen. Among these 24 are 7 Russian politicians and CEOs and 17 companies that are under the control of Gennady Timchenko, the brothers Arkady and Boris Rotenberg, and Russia Bank. Russia's leading business and financial news website RBC has published a long article explaining why the sanctions against Russia are much less effective than the West makes them out to be. The article is called "Attack on Putin's Inner Circle." The words "inner circle" are in quotation marks. Who will suffer from the new US sanctions? RBC quotes various Western representatives without comment, implicitly framing the quotes as irrational and bullying. They then get to the meat of it. We learned that most of the assets frozen under the new sanctions were in fact already included in the initial sanctions of March 20th, and will not be further affected. The sanctions have now been expanded to blanket more assets belonging to a few specific people, says the article, so that the American agencies instituting the sanctions will not have to perform individual case-by-case analysis. RBC then explains that the original sanctions affect any company in which a given oligarch owns a majority of shares, and that on the eve of the initial sanctions, the Rotenbergs and various others sold their shares so that the companies would not be affected. So, no big deal. The article goes on to demonstrate that the two people named by the US presidential administration as members of Putin's inner circle, Igor Sechin and Sergei Chemezov, are in fact not. And that while Sechin, the head of Russia's leading oil company Rosneft, is somewhat reeling from the blow, the company and Russia's oil industry will be fine, because 19.75% of it is owned by British BP, and it is not in the West's interest to hit the giant too hard. This article goes on to say that the military imports Russia will no longer receive from the US will be produced within Russia itself within 1.5 years, according to Vladimir Putin. Several other leaders are shown to be unfazed by the sanctions. The head of Russia's railroads says he had no plans to visit the US anyway. Timchenko said that he found out he was included in the sanctions list from the news, and said he felt honored because it shows his dedication to his country. Finally, Russia's main gas company, Gazprom, remains unmentioned in the sanction lists. This is ModernWallStreet.com. Comment on the video below and follow us on Twitter at #ModernWallStreet.